All right, it is the rhythm of the city. 94.3 WYBC. I am Wanda Coppage. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with a wonderful, multi talented individual currently starring in another stage play, Eden, over at Yale Rep. That's the Yale Repertory Theater. SAG Award winning actor, Russell G. Jones. So, Russell, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Wanda. It's nice to be in with the local people. Talk about the.
Absolutely. I love speaking to entertainers such as yourself. So let's start with this. Where are you from?
I grew up outside of Cleveland, Shaker Heights, Ohio, and I
Okay.
was there through high school.
And how did you get your start in acting? How did you start in theater?
You know what? Like, I bet you a lot of entertainers tell you that they started in the church, and I started in the church. They had a drama ministry, and that was like my first opportunity to get some script and get to say some words. But I also had a really thorough junior high school and high school training program in Shaker. I didn't realize it until I went to college, but yeah, we got a great start from that program.
Now, how old were you when you started participating in the drama ministry at church?
13, 12, something like that.
And that's when you said, this is it. This is what I'm going to do with my future.
Yeah, I was like, I got the whole thing planned out. No,
I,
no, I mean, just comfortable, enjoyable, no reason to shift gears. So just wrote it out.
nice. And you sing as well?
No, my mother is upset about that to this day.
We were speaking to Miss Whitney White, and she dabbles in a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Singing happens to be one of those as well.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I find that entertainers that I speak to, everyone's multi-talented. You have gifts in each department of arts and entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, it's out of necessity. You're trying to move something forward and you realize you have to like get this skill in order to make it possible for that thing to be seen. And next thing you know, you're desktop publishing and you know
Yeah,
how to edit and, you're casting stuff. And yeah.
you wear many hats, and the hat that you're wearing right now is a part of the cast of Eden. You have to tell us about Eden, and then tell us about your character.
Okay, so Eden is a play by Steve Carter, and the play has been resurfaced basically because of a company in New York called Classics, which is trying to challenge the idea of what we think a classical theater should be, and to sort of lift up some of these pieces of theater that were exceptional but were never really accepted by the mainstream. And Stephen Carter is a playwright who wrote several of those plays. This play, Eden, is part of his trilogy about the Caribbean American experience, and it takes place in Manhattan on 62nd Street. And that area at the time was called San Juan Hill, and it was an area in 1922 that Black people could live. And so there was all types of Black people that lived in this neighborhood. And the play explores the culture clash between African Americans and Caribbean Americans. And it really looks at colorism. It looks at who we follow, who our leaders are. It looks at how these big ideas like racism and colorism really weave themselves into our everyday experience, even when we're working against it.
And your character, tell us about your character in the production.
I play Mr. Joseph Barton, and I play a Trinidadian father of four who is very much a Garveyite. He's very clear about the difference between right and wrong, and he's very adamant about instilling the idea of what is right and what is wrong into his four children. And admirable as that is, all things have to be done with some sense of balance. And it kind of gets a little bit out of balance when an attraction between his eldest daughter or his second oldest daughter and the nephew that moves in next door who just came up from the South, when that starts to get crackling, it's better than reality TV.
So it sounds like Joseph gets the crackling too. It
Well,
sounds pretty
you know,
stern.
Yeah. And actually, last night we had a preview performance, and
Mhm.
my partner was in the audience, and she was saying that the people behind her were a group of like 4 or 5 people, and they were talking about how they thought Joseph Barton reminded them of their
Yeah.
father. This one,
Mhm.
that one. Maybe not as whatever, but like this idea that the man of the house in those days, specifically, had to set the tone
Right.
for the family. And when that didn't happen, or when it wasn't done, to their liking, they sort of had the license to make it so.
Yeah. And you mentioned the preview show yesterday. It's been in the preview run since the 16th, and this you can catch Eden at Yale Rep all the way up until Saturday, February 8th. So make sure you are aware of that. But you specifically, do you have Caribbean background yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and but luckily I've been able to get into accent work that is African based.
Mhm.
For about 18 or 20 years now, I've been able to work with accents on stage and on camera, and so I'm pretty comfortable. The Obie Award that I won, I was doing a Congolese accent. I've been lauded for my Ethiopian accent. I've worked at the Jamaican accent. So as I do more and more, it gets easier and easier to be humble about it and open up
Yeah.
and get those notes.
Well, that's why I was asking. One, congratulations to you on the awards. But I was going to ask, what type of research? What do you do to be able to effectively tap into those characters?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, because in this situation, the show is a Yale rep, and they have a lot of resources. So we have a fantastic dialect coach who actually I know from New York City. We were on an advisory council at HB Studio in New York several years ago, and his name is Paul Price, and he is from Trinidad, and he's a dialect coach, and he's a Black man. So for me, it was like a direct conduit. And he outfitted us with videos of Trinidadians speaking English,
Okay.
trying to do the English version of their Trinidadian expression. And he gave us voice recordings of him with his accent doing several of our lines. And, they use the International Phonetics Alphabet when they teach voice and speech. And that was something I really detested at Boston University. But
Came in handy for you, though, right? It worked out.
Wanda, I was working against it the whole time, and I continue to work against it. I'm just like, put it right here in my ear and let me say it, okay?
You don't understand, like the behind the scenes work that goes into building a believable character, and this is part of it. So we applaud you for your work, and again, the awards. But it's not just theater with you. You've done some television, you've done some film. Speak to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for a while, I was just talking to some of the younger actors in the production. And I was a theater actor for as long as I could be, and I was like a purist. I'm like, I only do theater. I don't do commercials. I'm not hawking wares. But then, at some point, you're like, wow, I really would like 3 meals in every day. And so, where does the money come from? It doesn't come from theater. So eventually, I had to sort of switch gears and be like, go after the film and television, which meant getting a representation, an agent or a manager, and getting those auditions and booking them, is sort of learning the skill of keeping the intensity and the storytelling, but doing it on the size of the medium.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been able to. I started with, like a lot of New York actors, with a Law and Order, some 25 years ago, and now I'm consistently a reoccurring character on television on several different shows, and I had a series regular opposite Edie Falco for CBS. The show only lasted a year, but it was called Tommy, and I got to have some
Okay.
good time on
I
that.
was going to ask, which show was it? I loved Edie Falco in Nurse Jackie. She was wonderful.
and in The Sopranos. Like
And
she's
of
a
course, where she's, yep, in The
yeah,
Sopranos.
a terrific actor. She was a joy to work with, and she, told us all that there were 6 of us that were the series regulars, and she was like, "Listen, I looked at everybody's stuff, and I picked you people because I liked your work, but also I factor in like, do I want to spend my 8 hours a day with this person?" And
Mm,
being able to sort of be a collaborator and to be accountable for what it is you're bringing to the set or bringing to the stage is a underappreciated estimation.
yes. And you were telling me beforehand, you actually did a, or just recently completed a Christmas film that's on BET. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun because we shot in Newburgh, New York. So it was just a couple hours outside of the city, and Choice Films was one of the producers, and I got to play a father in that one, who was a much sweeter guy. His birthday is on Christmas, and his one of his sons is newlywed, and they have a dilemma because they want to spend Christmas with both families, but they can't. So they come up with a plan to make it look like they're only spending Christmas with one family, but in actuality, they're crossing the city to go and spend time with both. It's called Too
Yeah.
Many Christmases.
Hence the title, Too Many Christmases.
Yeah, I want to big up the director Kenny Young, who also did some of the screenwriting on that, because he made a beautiful set where everybody got to enjoy themselves, deliver their professionalism, but also sort of be in community, which is something that the director of Eden has also done. Brandon J. Dearden did a terrific job of just like making it feel like work was fun and home and humanity.
Yeah, I love that. A fun work environment. I follow the Black TV Film Collective, and for that film, Too Many Christmases, and another Christmas film, they did a panel on that with a few of the
Hmm.
actors, where you can ask so that our voices, people of color, can be heard and seen within the space in the holiday
Yeah.
space. So
Yeah, thank you. I got to watch that with my brother and sister, my niece and nephews this Christmas, and that was just like a great experience. It was just sweet.
that's what it's about. Holidays, about family. Listen, this is Russell G. Jones. You can catch him right now over at the Yale Rep Theater for the stage play Eden. Of course, you can catch him in everything else that he's working on as well, which reminds me, are you on any social media platforms where we can stay abreast of what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as russellg.jones,
Okay.
and I'm also on Facebook as well.
Okay. Russell G. Jones. Tickets are available online at yalerep.org or by calling 203-432-1243. Also going to the box office itself, but you know this. You miss anything, call me. I'll run it all back to you, gives you all the numbers and the people that you need to know. Any final words, Mr. Jones, before we wrap?
I really appreciate your disposition and your voice, and thank you for holding space for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything that you do. All right, I get back to what I do now, getting the music back on for you. So keep listening right here. It's 94.3 WYBC, we're the rhythm of the city.